What's up, everybody, and welcome back to The Waiting Room, the show that challenges you to thrive, not just survive, in every area of your life. This is your host, Ruem, and in this podcast, we'll be talking about the realities of waiting in every season of life. How we wait is more important than the wait itself, so waiting well is what matters. In this episode, I'll be talking about the importance of physical health. In a previous episode, I had talked about having a healthy mind, body, and spirit, and how each of those are important in order to be a well-balanced individual. Today, I'll be talking about taking care of our bodies and why that is important. So we were created for movement. We were given a wide range of motions for a reason. We can walk, run, jump, crawl, swim, push, pull, lift, etc. Yet we choose to sit and lie down or sleep most of the time. And because of that, there are ramifications of having a sedentary life. And some of these could even cost you your life. So when God created human beings, we were designed to do stuff, and we cannot go against that design without having consequences. So it's all about finding that balance. So there's two extremes. There's a couch potato, and then the people who are consumed with their body and physical fitness and pretty much worship their body. So it's about just being active, being healthy, and living a life that is disciplined. So you don't have to be an Ironman competitor to be healthy, but also, you can't just be idle all the time and not exercise and just be lazy and struggle to walk up a flight of stairs. So I want to talk about the benefits of physical activity. And I'm sure you've probably heard a lot of these, but I really want you to think about how this applies to you and find yourself in all of this and, figure out what you need to change if you do need to change anything. So first of all, exercise delivers oxygen and nutrients to your tissues. So your muscles, your tissues, the way your body's made up. And this helps your heart, your cardiovascular system, work more efficiently. So when your heart and your lungs are healthy, you have more energy to do daily activities. So if you're walking up one flight of stairs and it's a struggle, that's a telltale sign that something needs to change. And I know that's something that people don't want to hear for some reason. Physical fitness and diet, healthy lifestyle, all of that's such a touchy subject, and body image, but you cannot ignore it because it is going to affect your mental health, and it's going to affect your spiritual health and other areas of your life as well. Another thing physical activity does, it helps control your weight. You're able to keep your weight in check if you are constantly moving. When you stop moving, that's when you are burning less calories than you are eating, and that's when the weight gain comes in. Exercise also helps improve your mood. Studies have found that exercise helps reduce stress, depression, anxiety, and it comes down to the hormones that are being released and the chemicals that are being released when you are exercising. So one of those is endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't shoot their husbands. We all know that. There are several other feel-good hormones that are released. There's oxytocin, dopamine, that help with reducing that stress and anxiety and depression. Physical activity also helps improve your memory, your brain function, and reduces the risk of dementia. So, it comes down to just the chemical balance in your brain, and then also just the blood flow to your brain. All of that is important. You will notice once you start adopting a healthier lifestyle, you remember more things, and your brain is not as foggy. Another thing that exercise does is improve your immune system, so your ability to fight diseases. Because when you exercise, you are actually putting physical stress on your body. And this in time will help you fight off other diseases. Physical activity also reduces the risk of developing several diseases like type 2 diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, as I mentioned, depression and anxiety, arthritis, and there's more. I could keep going, but I'm sure you get the gist here. So genetics also does play a part, but just because you are predisposed to a certain condition, it's not a guarantee that you're going to have it. There are some controllable factors: how you live your life, your physical activity, the types of food that you eat can either help you to not get that condition or that disease, or you can create that environment in your body for that disease to develop. So those are just a few things I thought to mention regarding the benefits of exercise, and there's so much more I could add to this: the mental benefits, and then you just have like the psychological benefits, the physiological benefits, and everything else. It also affects your outlook on life, and also just being physically healthy does affect your relationships as well. Think about it. If you are a parent, you have littles to keep up with, little kids that you're trying to chase after. If you are unhealthy, it's going to be a lot harder to do that in other areas as well. And there are several scriptures that speak of the importance of living a disciplined life and not being given to gluttony, and not living in excess. But one that stands out says, part of it says, your Bible is a temple of the Holy Spirit, whom you have from God, so glorify God in your body. So there's nothing glorifying to God about being unhealthy or being undisciplined or being obese or living a gluttonous lifestyle or an overindulgent lifestyle. So how we live is also a reflection of Christ, and a lot of people will look at our lives. So if we don't use the power we've been given to change, how can we tell others that God can give them the power to change whatever area of their lives? So how does one adopt a healthier lifestyle? So I have a few things that I'm going to go over, but first, start by making small changes. It can be overwhelming when you look at everything at once. If you look at the big picture, especially if, let's say, you are overweight and you are obese and you're thinking, I have to lose 50 pounds or 100 pounds. Well, just shoot for 5 pounds or 10 pounds and start making small changes. And then over time, you look back and see a big difference. And next, a big one is burn more calories than you consume. Extra weight comes from eating more calories than you are using. So start to move more and eat less. So it depends on your activity level. So some can get away with eating 2,500 calories a day because they are physically active throughout the day. You're working out and you have a physical job, whereas some might need to eat less because you have a sedentary lifestyle. So, try to find out where you fall, how much you're burning a day, and then aim to eat below that. And then over time, you'll start to notice the weight coming off. Also, be mindful of what you are eating. We, just as a society, are mindless eaters, and you'll snack here, you're hungry, you go to the fridge, and then 2 hours later, you're eating this and you're eating that. And mindless eating leads to overconsumption of calories, so you end up consuming more than you actually need, and then the weight comes on. Next, you want to keep moving. So go for a walk, whether it's 10 minutes or 50 minutes, but you want to increase your heart rate for a certain amount of time every day just to keep your heart pumping. And along with cardio, weight training is important. For some reason, people are afraid of weights, but actually weights are your friend, especially as you get older. You want to do a lot more weight-bearing exercises. So pick up a few weights or, invest in some dumbbells and start using them. I personally love kettlebells, so I have a couple kettlebells. I have a 20 and a 30-pound kettlebell, and I'm thinking of getting another one, but they're very versatile, and I like how they're compact and you can do a lot with them. Anything you can do with the dumbbell and more. So kettlebells are great to start off. Another healthy lifestyle change is drinking more water. We don't drink enough water. You should be drinking half your weight in ounces, and that's in pounds. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you should be drinking 75 ounces of water a day. So if you weigh 250 pounds, you should be drinking 125 ounces of water a day. So you can do the math for yourself. Now, I don't know, for those of you that use kilograms and stones, you're on your own. But we need to drink more water, and that will help your body function properly. Next, it is important to increase your fiber intake. Roughage helps things move along, and you want to get that excess waste out of your body. And if you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables and whole grains, you're not getting enough fiber, and that's why you feel bloated and sluggish. So fiber is your friend along with weights. So you have a lot of friends. You have water, weights, fiber, all of that. And I will add here, part of helping with your fiber is cooking your own food. Cook at home. You'll know what's going in your food. It reduces your fast food intake. A lot of times you're not getting enough of the proper nutrients you need from real food from the fast food and fried food that you're consuming. And lastly, but not least, I'm sure I could keep going, but your sleep hygiene is so important. How long you sleep doesn't matter as much as how well you're sleeping. So you could get 9 hours of sleep a day, but still be tired, or you could get 6 hours and be fully energized and rejuvenated. So improve your sleep hygiene. There are a lot of factors that go into that. The time you go to sleep, and then the activities leading up to sleeping. If you're constantly on a screen or on your phone, that can inhibit the release of melatonin, and you won't be able to fall asleep on time, or fall asleep when you need to, or just not being physically active, or if you have sleep apnea, or COPD and things like that. Those do affect your sleep quality. So do what you can to create an environment that helps your body just go to sleep well. So a lot of what I've talked about today comes from personal experience. So for those of you who know me personally, know that about 10 years ago, I started my fitness journey. And before that, I used to be overweight. I probably was obese. I know I was over 200 pounds, but I wasn't friends with the scale, so I wasn't trying to find out how big I was. I knew I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I didn't look healthy. I didn't feel healthy. I was just self-conscious. I wanted to change, but I didn't know how, because once again, I was overwhelmed. I would try a physical activity, but just the fact that I couldn't finish it or how I felt, it just discouraged me. I got to a point where I was more inspired or motivated to do something about it. I came across some helpful articles and some tools. So I am I'm a very practical person. If you show me how something works, I will try to prove that theory. So I was just like, so if I reduce my calorie intake and if I increase my physical activity and I do this, I will lose weight. So let me try it. And I did. So I started tracking my calories. First, I had to figure out how much I was eating and then to know where I needed to change. So I had to reduce that. And then increase my physical activity. So I started off by walking. I wasn't a runner. And then I switched to workout videos. And then I switched to running. So I've done a few races and I like competing and, training for a few more, and it's something that I enjoy doing now. So from my highest weight to my smallest, I would say it's probably a 60-pound difference. And then of course over the time, you fluctuate, so you gain 15 pounds here and there, but I've generally managed to keep my weight in check by doing a lot of what I just went over. So burning more calories than I'm consuming, drinking water, staying active, keeping up on my cardio and my weight training, and trying to sleep well, and all of those factors. So it's not impossible. And like I said, it is daunting when you look at the big picture, but just take baby steps. Just, take 1 week and say, I'm going to increase my water intake, or this week I'm going to move more. After dinner, I'm going to go for a walk around the neighborhood, or little things like that. And then over time, you'll build up on it and challenge yourself to improve and become better. Where there is a will, there is a way. So you can always make excuses. You could have all the resources, all the time in the world, and still make excuses. And something somebody once said to me that I find sobering is that somewhere out there is somebody someone out there has less resources than you do and less time, but is getting more accomplished. So, it's all about priorities. But think about your health, where you want to be in 10, 15, 20 years. Do you want to be constantly taking medications every day because you didn't manage your health at a young age? Or do you want to be able to run around with your grandkids, or, hike up a trail, things like that? So you have a lot more control of that. You just need, and sometimes it can be overwhelming trying to break out of the cycle of the habit loop that we're in and create a new habit loop to where you can be healthy. So in this episode, I want to challenge you to look at your life and see what physical changes you can make. Do you need to move more, or do you need to eat less, or drink more water, or go to bed early? And don't put it off. Start today. I know we always try to wait until Monday, but you don't have to wait until a Monday to start making healthy habits. Make it a point to change something. You don't have to change everything at once, but change one small thing in your life this week, and then repeat the process next week and the week after and the week after. So on that note, this week I would like to recommend the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. It explains the psychological process of building a habit, and he gives a lot of examples and case studies on a personal level and on a business level or a corporate level, of how habits can either make you or break you, and how we can change our habits and develop new ones, and just like the reward cycle that goes on in your brain. And so I highly recommend that you read that. The link is in the description. Once again, not a sponsor, but it's just a book I have read and I do recommend. And that is it for today, folks. Thank you once again for joining me here in the waiting room. Look out for my next episode. And in the meantime, please share your experiences, especially with this topic. I love to hear people's victory stories, how they overcame, or the weight loss story. So, or any experience that you might have, or any struggles. I definitely have learned a lot, and I can give more advice and I can share more tools. But you can interact with me through email at thewaitingroom@gmail.com, or follow me on Instagram at The Waiting Room. Until then, get out there and get to moving. Take care.